What's up, guys, and welcome to the Foot and Fist Sports Network, where today we're going to be previewing UFC 199, Rockhold versus Bisping. Now, this is going to be a very, very good card, and let's go ahead and get started with Brian Ortega versus Clay Guida. Brian Ortega is a young fighter who is really on the rise, but he has recently been popped for steroids, so that's something to take into consideration moving into this fight. We're going to see how his body looks and if he is as good as he used to be, because he was a very, very important prospect in that division, and he was looking like a guy who could really make a push for the top 10 soon enough with his ground game. He's predominantly a submission fighter, so that's something to keep into consideration as he's coming up against Clay Guida, who is a real veteran of the game, who's been on a bit of a skid lately, but has always been in the top 10 of the lightweight division and more recently the featherweight division. You know, he's always been one of those top 10 fighters who is very difficult to put away, but he has been on a skid lately. Now, I think that moving to Team Alpha Male in Sacramento is going to give him a boost to his already really good wrestling, because his main game plan is put a guy against the fence and either keep him there or take him down and hope to tire him out, put a little bit of a beating on him, but for the most part get out a decision. And considering the fact that that's his game plan and the fact that Brian Ortega is mostly a submission fighter, I expect this fight to take place for the most part on the ground, and it's going to be interesting to see which man can impose his will. Is Ortega going to be able to submit Clay Guida, or is Clay Guida going to be able to move around, transition well, survive, on the ground, and maybe even put a little bit of a beating on Ortega? If Clay Guida can do this and stay out of the submissions, then he should be able to get the win, no problem. Whereas Ortega pretty much has no choice to either finish him or either knock him out or submit him. He's going to have a better chance of submitting him, but Clay Guida is very crafty on the ground, so it's not going to be easy. I have Clay Guida winning this in a decision. Next up, we have Dustin the Diamond Poirier against Bobby Green. This is also a very, very, very good fight. That's going to be one of the more entertaining fights of the card. Ever since Dustin Poirier moved up to lightweight, he has looked like a completely different fighter than he did at featherweight. That cut really did make it hard for Dustin Poirier to rehydrate and fight at the very best of his abilities come fight night. Moving up to lightweight, he has seen very strong. He's got much better cardio. He has very good wrestling, and he has some submission game. So, taking on Bobby Green, who is also a very good striker, hard to hit, and all around is a pretty good fighter. He just hasn't quite taken that next leap into the top 5. And I think that the winner of this fight is going to get himself, if not in the top 5, because lightweight is one of the more stacked divisions in the UFC, then definitely within the top 6 or 7, and they're going to be very close to getting themselves into title contention as more and more fighters drop backwards, after losing title fights. You have Donald Cerrone, who's now lost twice against the champion. So unless Dos Anjos loses, then those guys are going to jump ahead of Cerrone on that list for a title shot. I think that Dustin Poirier is just going to be a little bit too good for Bobby Green because of how good he's been lately. I've been very, very impressed with Dustin ever since he got knocked out by Conor. I think that at 155, it's perfect for him. He's got all the tools you need to be able to grow into a legit title contender now. Take into consideration, this guy's like 28. He's 27 or 28, so he's young. He's got a lot of talent, and if he can beat Bobby Green, there's a great chance that he can go up against one of those top 5 contenders, and if he can even get a win against one of those guys, take on whoever's the champion, within the next year, and that would be a great fight. I really do think this is going to be probably fight of the night. If not, it's going to be up there for fight of the night, just because you have so many really good fights on this card. So take a look at this one. Keep an eye on it. It's going to be a barn burner. So yeah, I think Dustin Poirier is going to be just too good for Bobby Green, and I see this ending in a 3rd round knockout. Next up, we have blessed Max Holloway taking on Ricardo Lamas. This is also one of those fights that's going to be in contention for fight of the night. Max Holloway, ever since losing to Conor McGregor, has really taken a jump forward. This is a common theme on this card. Dustin Poirier took a jump forward after losing to Conor, and Max Holloway really, really took a jump forward since losing to Conor. He demolished Cub Swanson. He knocked out Jeremy Stevens. He's just looked like a monster lately. His striking is on point, and submitting Cub Swanson is really something to be very proud of. This guy is one of the most dangerous fighters in the featherweight division, and he's really looking like a guy who can compete and really get into the top 3, with the Conor, Jose's, Chad's, Frankie. He's really at that level. He really is. And it's going to be interesting to see what Ricardo Lamas, who he's a good fighter, but he isn't quite on the level of those other men. And I just think that I don't know what it is that he's missing. He has okay striking, his wrestling is very good, and he's going to need to impose his will on Max Holloway in the wrestling department if he's going to win this fight. I don't think he's going to be able to. I think Max Holloway is just too slick, and his movement and his striking is just too good to be caught and out-grappled by somebody like Ricardo Lamas. We've seen Max Holloway has some very good submissions. Submitting Cub Swanson is an amazing feat. And I just think Max Holloway is going to finish him probably in the third round, because I think Ricardo Lamas is pretty tough. Actually, I'm going to make it second round. I think Max Holloway's going to he's going to put a beating on him early on. Lamas is probably going to shoot for a desperate takedown, and that's going to get him caught in the second round. Next up, we have the co-main event, Dominick Cruz versus Urijah Faber 3. This is a fight that I've been looking forward to for a very long time, just because of the fact that both guys absolutely despise each other. Dominick Cruz, he comes in here after that really good win against TJ Dillashaw. He really did look great. His movement's amazing, and the fact that he can, dish out punishment, maybe not like crazy damage, but he's able to dish out punishment while moving backwards, is going to be a big deal against Urijah Faber. Urijah, I really do love Urijah Faber, but I think that out of all the Team Alpha Male fighters, even though a lot of them have left, he hasn't been able to make those extra leaps forward in his striking, and I think that's going to be a problem coming against Dominick Cruz, because Dominick Cruz has really taken steps forward even though he was out for 4 years. And I'm not sure if Urijah is going to be able to make up that gap. We know that Urijah has a lot of power. He's got a killer guillotine. He's really good in wrestling. He has a lot of strengths, but it's just a matter of, is he going to be able to catch Dominick? I say that he will land a few shots, and some of those shots may actually hurt Dominick, because Urijah is a very, very powerful man with his punching. I just think that Dominick is going to be too elusive. He's going to time the takedowns very well, and I just think it's going to be a typical Dominick Cruz decision, where it's probably going to be even a split decision, but I think it's going to be a unanimous decision. I think it's going to be 3 rounds for Dominick, 2 for Urijah, or it's going to be 4 for Cruz and 1 for Faber. So I'm just going to have to go with a decision with Dominick Cruz, but it's going to be a fun fight. Last but not least, definitely not least, guys, we have the main event, Luke Rockhold versus Michael the Count Bisping. This is also a very, very entertaining fight. The first time these two met was, I think, in 2013, 2014, and it was actually a pretty close fight for the first round. Luke Rockhold is a much longer striker. He's got better kicking, and overall, he has probably better jiu-jitsu, and he just has an overall better game. But Michael Bisping has an X factor to him, and that is his chin and his toughness. We saw what he did against Anderson Silva. He took that knee and he kept on coming forward. That's something that is going to really be important for him in this fight, because Rockhold is going to be the better striker. He's going to probably be the stronger striker as well. He's going to land big shots, and it's going to take all of Michael Bisping's toughness and grittiness to get out of the first round and get out of the second round. I don't think he's going to be able to get the win, unfortunately, for Bisping fans. I really do think that Bisping is very entertaining, but I really do like Rockhold as well. And I just think that Rockhold's going to be too good. I think his entire game is just too complete. I think he's by far the best fighter in that division. Not a single guy can come close to matching how well-rounded he is. Jacare has better jiu-jitsu probably, but his striking is way worse. Chris Weidman, I don't think he's better in striking or grappling in any way. And, Yo Romero has probably more power, but he has no gas tank. So I just think Luke Rockhold is going to be the middleweight champion for a long time. I think he's going to get a third-round finish over Michael Bisping. I don't think it's going to be quite as quick as the first fight they had. That ended in sort of with controversy due to a Luke Rockhold headbutt. The two guys clashed heads. I don't think it was on purpose at all. I think it was just what happened. Both guys went in there. Rockhold got the better of the headbutt, because I think it was Michael Bisping that was sort of standing still. He moved backwards or something like that. Rockhold went in, protecting himself from a clinch or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. But Bisping took the bigger shot from the headbutt, and that sort of rocked him a little bit. And then Rockhold did a great job of finishing with that head kick. I think it's going to be similar, but I just think it's going to take a little bit longer for Rockhold to get the finish. It will be a Rockhold third-round finish, though. Mark my words, whether it be submission or a knockout. I'm leaning towards the knockout just because I think Bisping is very tough to keep on the ground, but it's going to be a third round finish without a doubt. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Make sure you let me know if you think that all these predictions are likely, and if you disagree with them, let me know who you think is going to win. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you next time for the Fight Fallout show. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.